Our job as martial art teachers, as professionals, is to make the next generation of students way better than we ever were. It would be terrible to hold this facade, which I've seen some people do, where you hold this caste system, you hold this ranking system where the teacher will always be above the student, holding his students back, saying, you're just a Padawan, I'm the Yoda here, don't ever forget that. Let's know our space and respect it always till the day I die. It's ridiculous. I see students surpass their teachers all the time, not just in knowledge, but in wisdom, all different avenues of life. There's no such thing as a stagnant position in martial arts. We're always fluctuating. And the students that are hungry enough will eventually, hopefully, surpass their teachers in knowledge, because the technology gets better and better and better over time. Back in the early 1980s when I started my journey, and back then it was Ueshido Karate was the only thing available 2 towns over. Martial arts were not around much. We didn't have the technology we have now. We had no internet, no computers. The only way to get knowledge was to drive to the school and listen to the teacher and train and get hurt and come home and go back again and again and again. Then eventually he threw you a belt at some point, perhaps out of pity. And then I was 12 or 13 when I found ninjutsu. And then again, no internet. I was so hungry for it, though. I'd saved the money as a teenager. I'd go out and rake leaves and shovel driveways, get a part-time job or 2 in order to travel to get the knowledge. And you would spend literally thousands of dollars to fly across the country to a seminar in Scrimshaw, South Dakota or wherever to get a little bit of notes. Then you would take some notes, you get your butt kicked, you go home, you train it, usually with your trees who were your best ukes, because none of your friends were interested in this crazy ninja stuff. And then 6 months later, you'd save enough money, you'd go back and you'd do it over and over again. This process of traveling to find the education was the only way to find legitimate information. And there were a lot of frauds back then in the magazines that would come out and call themselves ninja masters, were clueless. But they had a lot of people duped at that time. Now, there's no excuse. Students of mine have no excuse. The technology's there. There are dojos all over the country, all over the world. The internet can give you volumes of encyclopedic knowledge that we didn't even have 20 years ago. But in martial arts, it's not the same thing. You can be educated, perhaps even a historian of martial arts, but that doesn't make you a good fighter if you've never been on the mat or if you haven't trained in a year. If you're not actively training, your opinion means nothing to those who are in the field as their profession. There are a lot of armchair warriors out there who think that they are martial artists when they don't train. They only hit keyboards. That's what they do. They comment, they dislike. Now that has a place. There are people out there who should be historians. There are people who should have the word education, but I don't value anyone's opinion who isn't out on the mat physically doing it day after day, decade after decade. Then I'll listen to your opinion. When I'm with other teachers of professional schools, I listen to their opinion like gospel all the time. Yes, you want your students better than you. And don't hold back secrets. There aren't any secrets. It's just mat time. It's dirt time. I've had teachers that, like poker players, will hold their cards so close to their chest, and you're like, is he just not telling us the principles, or does he not know them? And that's a really interesting lesson to take home. Some teachers hold the cards too close. They don't want to tell you any principles. I agree that it's always best if a student can learn the principle on their own in the training. If you can do techniques enough to find the principles to make you better than you were, great. But not everyone learns that way. Some people have to be told what the principle is. I do not agree at all with the aspect of hiding the principles from your students. That's arrogance. That to me is you trying to create this facade and this mystery and this space between you and your students so that you can look more grandiose, so that you can be this mysterious ninja Yoda master. No such thing exists in the real world. The person's duping you. Now, you can spoon feed someone principles all day long, and if they're not doing it on the mat, it's no worse. So give them the principles. If they find them and write them down and are hungry enough to keep them in their notebooks, fine. If they don't train, they'll be lost anyway. So don't hide the principles all the time. Some people learn by listening, by visualization, by physically touching and doing. Don't try to act all mysterious around your students. It doesn't work. They see through it. And what happens is, if we're being real, the student after a few years will get very bored with this teacher saying, oh, you'll learn one day, Padawan. Just keep doing what you're doing. You'll find the principle one day. And then what happens, a student's like, screw you. After a few years, I'm going to another teacher that's going to show me something. Because I don't think you're a mystery sensei. I think you don't know anything. I think you don't have the depth of that guy over there. So I'm going to go to him. Because that guy has way more depth than you have. Or you've held your secrets too close. I'm out of here. The dojo's not serving me anymore. I'm going to go somewhere else. That's what students will often think. And to prevent that from happening, the teacher has to be honest and say, I don't know the answer. Student says, what's the answer to this, sensei? Well, how do you do this? How do you get out of it? I don't know. A good teacher will say, let's explore together. Let us be both students in this martial art and get over this ridiculous tribalism and find the answer together. Teach me. You be the sensei today. You show me. What did you learn? Oh, show me that. I'm the student today. That's how it should be. This give and take exchange keeps arrogance out. It keeps mystery out. It bolsters respect for each other. It bolsters friendship, all this good, healthy stuff. It's when you try to dupe your students and say, I know so much, you can't possibly know what I know. They see right through that mask. And then what happens is you end up very alone with no students. These are hard things to hear for people watching. Really, for all of us out there. These are very, very cold lessons that I was never taught. I learned on my own, and it took decades to learn because I was duped by many teachers, and I still have wonderful teachers in my life that I totally respect because they didn't BS me along the way, try to take my money, or just keep me around so that they could pay their rent. They really honestly said, I don't know the answer, son. Let's go look at it together. And those are still my true sensei, the true person who has walked before me. But at the same time, they grab out their hand and they say, come with me. Let me show you what I learned so that you don't fall into that trap and that pitfall. Let me prevent you from spraining your ankle, from going through this pain that I went through. Let me show you a bit of a shortcut. That's a real sensei to me.